As soon as she heard this, Qin Bingshue's face immediately changed. I realized that I had misunderstood the dust. Immediately, he was so ashamed that he turned away directly. Qin Bingshue couldn't help but feel that she was too embarrassed. It's just my own passion. People didn't want to soak me at all. Even Qin Bingshue, who entered the job after graduation. I am also ashamed of what I said. Qin Bingshue was very annoyed at this time. In front of Zhao Yuqi's face, he said that Chen Yuan wanted to soak himself. But it's just a fantasy of your own. But now, he just had to think about it. Chen Yuanding looked like a hooligan in front of him. I can't help but wonder secretly in my heart. How did the party recall Chen Yuan's face every time? We'll feel an inexplicable sense of shame. It's weird. However, just when Qin Bingshue was thinking nonsense, suddenly, a voice came from inside the office. Xiaoqing, come over here. Something tells you. Immediately, Qin Bingshue got up violently and said hard, Boss. Soon Qin Bingshue came to the president's office. And Qin Bingshue listened to the boss's orders. I couldn't help but ask with some depression. You're saying let me participate in charity dinner? And his boss nodded and explained yes. The business celebrities of Hansheng. I recently had a charity dinner. I don't have time to participate. You as my assistant. Just go and show me up. And I have a task for you. The legendary smoke total. There is a high chance that it will appear during this banquet. Your task. It's to make friends with this god as much as possible, paving the way for the company's next development. As soon as I heard this, Qin Bingshue's face couldn't help but darken. He couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Again, I deliberately chose a female boss's company, but there is still no way to avoid this kind of thing. Never mind. After all, it was the first task assigned by the boss. It's just an ordinary friendship. No big deal. When I thought of Qin Bingshue, I was reluctant, but still nodding and fainting. Good owner. I try to get it done. And the female boss interrupted domineeringly, not as much as possible. Yes, it must be done. The screen turns. Inside the male dormitory building of Hu University. At this time, Chen Yuan was clasping his nose. Listen to the voice on the other end of the phone. Editor, have you read Weibo? Gao Wang's sister Gao, Shinin will end up in person. Tear up the big guy in the film and television industry. Chen Yuan heard this. Immediately excitedly came to the computer and quickly turned it on. At the same time, it was so excited that you said that you were chanting. I'll take a look first. After turning on your computer, one is called high-hanging grown hand tearing. The hot search of the bigwigs in the film and television industry immediately came into view. The search popularity is as high as 270 million. And Gao Hengyun is directly in the post. I couldn't be silent any longer. It will happen for all the people who have been violated by this scumbag. The reply below has everything. There are supporters and trolls, and there are endless streams. And Zhang Haoyan continued to speak. That big guy in the film and television industry. Seeing that the Gao family's current situation is not good. I want to uncover the rules and hang high. But I didn't expect Gao Hangyin to be unhappy. That's why he was splashed with dirty water and was brutally blocked. Chen Yuan after listening. I immediately understood the consequences of the submergence. He couldn't help but nod. Praised and didn't expect to be high. This woman is quite backbone. It's special in your chaotic circle. And Zhang Haoyan couldn't help but laugh when he heard this. Who's to say it isn't? Speaking of circles, there was a charity auction recently. Most of the celebrities in Seoul will attend. Mr. Yin must appreciate his face when he is on the road. Chen Yuanwen was not stunned. Charity auctions. He immediately secretly fought in his heart. This kind of place. Estimate. It's also a great place to spend your money desperately. It's good to go and see the excitement. Then Chen Yuan hung up the phone. And then secretly said in his heart, but before that, there's one more thing that needs to be done first. Meanwhile, inside the villa of the high-hanging ministry, there was a constant stream of shouting. Hurry up, the opponent's water army is starting to exert its strength. Put their negative comments. Give it all top. I immediately remembered the snap. Gao Xinying angrily slammed her phone on the table. I don't believe it when I say it again. The truth can be obscured by lies. But shouted Da, and they were full of panic. No, Miss Gao. The firepower of the other side is too fierce. We can't stand it at all. They are also desperately throwing money at it. And their PR and botnets are very professional. I can't get them. And yet at this moment, the mobile phone with high silver suddenly rang with a ding-dong sound. A message arrived suddenly. High-hanging silver. Suddenly I picked up my phone and looked at it with some depression. It turned out to be a reminder of the arrival of 100 million. High-hanging silver seas. Suddenly, I felt a little abrupt. Someone called me 100 million. Is it Chen Yuan who did it? And Gao Xinying reacted immediately. He couldn't help but secretly guess. Could it be Chen Yuan? Got to know my scolding on Weibo. Worried that I don't have enough money. That's why you called me. Suddenly, Gao Xinying was casually picked up by Chen Yuan. Just play a 100 million pride to be convinced. However, he complained very hard and secretly. Chen Yin is really a damn scumbag. Isn't it just a few stinky money? Show off. Immediately, the system sounded two high-pitched groans in succession. Tips for good feelings when on vacation. A well-known female star was framed. Decided to be a big man in the film and television industry for the first time. The strength of both PR and water armies. The difference is too great. All the negative news was quickly overtaken by the opposing trolls. Brushed it down. However, just when the money of the high-hanging silver is ready to break. But suddenly a message popped up that 100 million had arrived. Gao Hangin reacted immediately. He didn't secretly guess. Could it be Chen Yuan? Got to know my scolding on Weibo. Are you worried that I won't have enough money? So that's why you called me? Suddenly, the high-hanging silver was Chen Yuan. I was impressed by the pride of playing 100 million at every turn. However, he complained very hard and secretly. Isn't it just a few stinky money? Show off. But the system sounded two high-pitched moans in succession. Tips for daring on vacation. Night fell quickly. The charity gala in Seoul has finally begun. Seoul is almost half of the rich tonight. We'll all gather here. It can be described as a feast for celebrities. At this time, by Mount An hit the channel towards the high waves. You kids seems to be getting better lately. Some time ago. You are still sad every day because of your sister's affairs. Target. Why do you look so radiant today? Gao Lang laughed. Explained, 2 days ago, Mr. Yin introduced me to my sister. Now Mr. Yin is half my brother-in-law. Sure, people are in good spirits at happy events. As soon as I heard Mr. Yan's name, the little Gaga, who was beside him, suddenly became excited. You mean it's on the shark? The swallow that brushes hundreds of millions of dollars at every turn. Total. He also seems to have acquired the shares of the Shao family, even in front of Han Sanshui, and he pressed his son to the ground and rubbed him. The white-haired man suddenly realized, no wonder your sister dare to tear up the bigwigs in the film and television industry on the internet. It turned out that there were swallows. There is always such a god behind him. Xiao Gaga on the side hurriedly said respectfully, someday there will be a chance. Be sure to introduce me to Mr. Yin. My old man has wanted to get acquainted with him for a long time. Gao Lang immediately immersed himself in this vanity. Proud Island is easy to say. My brother-in-law also said he would invite me to drink in a few days. And Bai Mao looked at Tang Xiuan, who suddenly got up. Suddenly, he opened his mouth to repair the text. Where are you going? And Tang Xiuan waved his white hand without looking back. I said I'll go to the bathroom first. You talk slowly. When I think of the high waves with a smug face. Tang Xiuan couldn't help but curse in his heart. It's disgusting, yes. Sold his sister to others as a concubine. It's the same as the 250. Without Mr. Yin, your Gao family would have been finished long ago. Tonight's charity auction dinner is said to be charity. In fact, it is a hunting ground for Han Chenghuan to share the cake. By this dinner, to determine the next 10 years of Han Cheng's sector benefit distribution, and Mr. Yin is the heaviest guest invited tonight. For this reason, Tang Xuan collected a lot of information day and night. Mr. Yan's gossip. In this way, we can analyze Mr. Yan's personality to develop a plan for friendship. Come to think of it, Tang Xuan couldn't help but show a smug smile. In the heart of the secret channel, I tried my best to do a psychological image test for Mr. Yan. The test error will never exceed 5%. I'm sure I'm going to win this wave. He is definitely a mature and elegant, and an elder with a city government and foresight, even if he is low-key in life. But it can't hide his outstanding temperament. Soon Tang Xuan came to the door of the hotel. At the same time, he secretly complained that he was just a bunch of stupid forks. Do you also want to tie up with a big man like Mr. Yan? I'll stay at the door and get the first step. As soon as Mr. Bien arrived, I immediately cut off my beard. The more Tang Xuan thought about it, the more excited he became. He couldn't help but secretly feel proud of Tang Aojia. Just wait for me. Wait for me to climb up to Mr. Yan. The entire Tang group will know then who is the most valuable heir. And yet at this moment, Tang Xuan suddenly discovered a familiar figure appeared at the doorway. Immediately he felt a little bit of the Asian games. He looked at Chen Yuan, who was dressed in formal clothes. Couldn't help but secretly suppressed Chen Yuan in his heart. What is this kid doing here? How he was dressed in the clothes of a security guard. Does he come here for work? And Chen Yuan for this charity dinner. I also deliberately bought a relatively expensive formal suit. He thought it would be better to keep a low profile. Don't make yourself too different. He knew if he continued to take off his shoes and pants, the classic image of the head of the chicken nest appears. There will be a suspicion of forcible pretense. So he arrogantly bought a suit of 20,000 yuan. When I think of my hard-earned money, Chen Yuan couldn't help but cry secretly. Although I finally have some savings. But it really hurts to spend your own money. That's when it happened. Chen Yuan suddenly saw the security guard at the door of the hotel. His eyes widened suddenly, looking at the security guard's suit. When you wear a suit that is exactly the same as your own, Chen Yuan immediately exploded the wave groove. Here's what's going on. 20,000 suits can also hit shirts. Do rich security guards wear such expensive suits? Just when Chen Yuan was shocked, there was a sudden sound of a mother's chirping beside him. Ah, isn't this a slam dunk master? How did you come here to be a security guard? Immediately, Tang Xuan showed a look of hunger. Again, he said that the living expenses were not enough. So come here as a security guard and do a part-time job. And Chenren silently said that you are mistaken. I'm not a security guard. I was invited to this dinner, and we don't know each other very well. So please stay away from me. Tang Xuan heard this. Immediately snorted coldly in his heart. Obviously a poor ghost. Still with me in this village. I'll keep you out of the stage in a moment. Immediately, he smiled and said just right. I'm also here for dinner. Then let's go in together. And Chen Yuan didn't say much. After coming to the door, the security guard suddenly stopped him. An invitation to his birth dinner. And Chen Yuan was not stunned when he saw this. Please check what please check. Tang Xuan, who had been expected for a long time. It was immediately beside Chen Yuan. Began to be yin and yang. Something whatever. Didn't you even come here without an invitation? How can anyone be invited without an invitation? Seeing that Chen Yuan was silent, Tang Xuan was immediately triumphant to Chen Yuan. Don't pretend to be here. There's no shame in being a security guard. As for slapping the face and filling the fat man, always wears a well-prepared suit. Go to a charity banquet. But I was embarrassed to find that I actually collided with the security guard. When I thought of the suit I bought for 20,000 yuan, his heart was suddenly like a knife. And Tang Xuan was seeing Chen Yuan's security guard dress. Then he immediately came to him. Hunger sarcastically said that the cost of living is not enough. So come here as a security guard and do a part-time job. But after he heard Chen Yuan say that he was here to attend the banquet, immediately said that he wanted to go in with Chen Yuan. Get ready to see Chen Yuan's jokes. After coming to the door again, the security guard suddenly stopped Chen Yuan and asked him to show the invitation to the dinner. And Chen Yuan, who didn't receive the invitation at all. I was stunned for a moment. Tang Xuan immediately triumphed at Chen Yuan. Don't pretend to be here. There's no shame in being a security guard. Ha 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 is at this moment. A luxurious black business sedan suddenly stopped in front of the hotel gate. I saw a pair as smooth as jade. The slender legs were the first to poke out the door. Qin Bingxue in a black evening dress. It's like a snow lotus on the Tianshan Mountains. He couldn't help but look around. He said, "Is this the scene of the charity banquet?" Qin Bingxue just got out of the car. Almost all the men on the scene breathed in unison. His peerless, cold beauty. Immediately, everyone started to talk about it. A character in the circle of soul. The daughter has basically seen it. I haven't seen this beauty much. And Qin Bingxue, who became the focus. I can't help but secretly protect in my heart. I don't like it this way though. But I'm here on behalf of the company. Today's task is to convince. Swallow to mail. Division to invest. And yet at this moment. But Tang Xuan's voice suddenly came from beside him. Are you embarrassed to come to participate if you didn't have to take the test? Chen Yuan, you are really amazing. Qin Bingxue couldn't help but look for prestige when she heard this. I saw it again after Chen Yuan. He was inadvertently stunned. Why was he here? And Chen Yuan. At this time, he was already sneered at by Tang Xuan. It's a little annoyed. He couldn't help but be impatient and said that I didn't have an invitation. But I was an invitee. And the two security guards at the door Wanyan. Immediately, his brows furrowed. As far as I know, all the guests who attended the charity dinner today, invitations are required. Tang Xuan, who was in the classroom, also nodded in agreement. Those who don't have an invitation are special guests. For example, the first god of the internet, Mr. Chang of Hao Yinswa Shark, and my brother Tang Aojia. These three are all bigwigs with a net worth of 10 billion. Tang Xuan couldn't help but look smug towards Chen Run. Speak again. Chen Yuan, may I ask which one you are at this moment? Qin Bingxue suddenly walked slowly to Chen Yuan's side. Take out an invitation. I remember. An invitation letter can bring one person in. He's my friend. As soon as the security guard saw the invitation, immediately nodded respectfully and said that it was no problem. And Chen Yuan couldn't help but look at Qin Bingxue with some surprise. The secret enemy does not fall. I didn't expect this to have a good impression of me. A woman who can't be worse anymore. You'll help me out. Just when the dust is puzzled, Qin Bingxue suddenly walked towards him. I'm not helping you because I have a better impression of you. It's just to return your favor. Speaking of which, Qin Bingxue turned pale. Blushing whispered about the events of the day. It's true that I misunderstood you. I apologize to you. That's it. When Chen Yuan heard this, he immediately exploded in his heart. I just wanted to pretend to force you to press it, and I destroyed it. I would have liked to make a phone call. Give that dog-eyed Dawn who looks down on people. Wash your eyes less. It's you, woman. I even think I've helped me. It's really drunk. When I think of me, Chen Yuan suddenly said with a displeased face. Is this just a return of favors? I was originally invited. It's not your henchman. I advise you not to meddle in the future. This is not the Hu Student Union. Qin Bingshua's face changed instantly when she heard this. He didn't expect his kind act. Will be interviewed by a distant machine. Qin Bingxue immediately exploded in his heart. You scumbag. Kindly helped you and mock me. Die. Men really don't deserve a good face. For a while, the two of them were deadlocked at the door. And Qin Bingxue is also trying to suppress the anger in his heart, so as not to attract attention. And a choppy socialite. Suddenly, he scolded with a full face. Who is this security guard? It feels like it's very draggy. There is no thrifty sling. You have to blend into high society. This kind of man is the most disgusting. This year's charity gala is getting worse and worse. And Tang Xuan saw such an embarrassing situation. I almost laughed on the spot. But he still pretended to say Chen Yuan. It's not that I'm talking about you. You're obviously a security guard. You have to pretend to be an invited guest. I can understand how I can earn money with my own hands. But you're too vain. And Chen Yuan looked at Tang Xiuan. A pair of successful people teach the eyes of the losers. The expression on his face suddenly turned cold. Keep laughing for a while. I'll see who can laugh. That's when it happened. A white-haired man walking out of the hotel. Look at the crowded doorway. I couldn't help but mutter. Why are so many people crowded at the door? Is there anything lively to see? The next moment, the white-haired man's face changed suddenly. He immediately noticed that he was surrounded by dusty distance. Looked at Chen Yuan, who was sneered at by Tang Xiuan. The white-haired man couldn't help but curse in his heart. Isn't that Mr. Yin? What is the second child of the Tang family doing there? Even Mr. Yin dared to mock. I'm afraid I'm tired of being crooked. Come to think of this. The white-haired man hurriedly took out his mobile phone. Call Zhang Haoyin's number. If only you didn't hurry. I guess something big is going to happen in a while. The man was about to start pretending to be a fork and punch his face. Unexpectedly, Qin Bingxue suddenly appeared and offered to take him into the banquet. Interrupted dust far away. Immediately by Shoudao, whose face was full of displeasure. I was invited. It's not your henchman. These words immediately let the crowd of onlookers shout quack. It began to boil. And Tang Xiuan is even more of a successful person. Teach the loser what it looks like. Start counting the dust far away. That's when it happened. Bai Mao walked out of the door. I saw Tang Xiuan, who was starving at the dust. Immediately, he hurriedly took out his mobile phone. Call Zhang Haoyin's number. If only you didn't hurry. I guess something big is going to happen in a while. And today this charity banquet. Zhang Haoyin represents the Zhang family in Seoul. It also represents Longjiang real estate. At this time, Tang Aojia of the Tang Group was asking Zhang Haoyin about it. The legendary Shen Haoyin will always be there tonight. I've wanted to get acquainted with him for a long time. At that time, I still need Mr. Zhang's help to introduce it. And Zhang Haoyin hurriedly said modestly, Mr. Tang was serious. Although Yin and I have always been friends, but I basically can't say anything about him. I treated him like a big brother. Tang Haojia Wanyin hurriedly complimented Mr. Zhang, who was modest, who doesn't know that Mr. Yin has a very strong relationship with you. That's when it happened. Zhang Haoyin picked up the phone. After seeing that it was Xiaobai's call, hurriedly said that Mr. Tang was sorry. I'll answer the phone first. Zhang Haoyin did not shy away from suspicion, directly connected, and turned on hands-free. He said, Xiaobai, is there something going on? Did you receive Mr. Yin? And Xiaobai panicked and said that something was wrong. Brother Yin of Haoyin was always stopped at the door. And there are people who are humiliating Mr. Yin. As soon as I heard this, Zhang Haoyin's face immediately changed. What did you say in annoyance? Who the hell ate the leopard gall? Rushed to humiliate tonight's special guests. Xiaobai hurriedly opened his mouth to explain. Who else could there be? Tang Xiuan, the second eldest of the Tang family. Zhang Haoyin frowned instantly when he heard this. And Tang Aojia on the side was immediately so angry that he exploded. Immediately afterwards, Tang Aojia got up from the chair suddenly. Rushed to the door. At the same time, the irritated island is an indisputable thing. And Zhang Haoyin hurriedly followed. At the same time, he shouted that Mr. Tang was calm. Don't get excited. Meanwhile, Tang Xiu, when Zhang patted Chen Yuan's shoulder with a smug face, he said, Chen Yuan, it's not me talking about you. Why do you have to squeeze into other people's circles? How suitable is the profession of security guard for you? You match this outfit so well. And Chen Yuan, who was already angry, immediately slapped Tang Xiuan's hand away. At the same time, he said coldly, take away your dog paws for me. You're a sissy, and you're not qualified to talk to me. After speaking, Chen Yuan still leaned on Tang Xiuan's ear. Warning, say goodbye to you. Even if you let your brother come. He didn't qualify for that either. Tang Xiuan saw that Chen Yuan was so arrogant. Suddenly laughed with hunger on his face, ha ha ha. Chen Yuan, you are still crazy about being a security guard. Look down on this and look down on that. Do you know who my brother is? My brother Tang Aojia is at the helm of the Tang Group. Net worth of tens of billions. There are countless industries in hand. He just sneezed. Han Qingdu had to shake it. Speaking of this, Tang Xiuwen pointed at himself fiercely. Stand up, and I'm the second son of the Tang Group. Don Aojia's younger brother. I'm here to teach you a lesson. What can you do to me? You're a weak chicken. Qin Bingshui on the side. See Tang Xiuwen's villainous appearance. I can't help but secretly say in my heart, this Tang Xiuwen. It seems that he is also a commodity with no skills. Open your mouth and shut up. It's either Tang's or his brother. It's just an incompetent second ancestor. Then Qin Bingshui. Suddenly, some courtiers with complicated expressions looked into the distance. At the same time, he secretly said in his heart, even if it's this kind of second son, far from it, is a scumbag like Chen Yuan who treats kindness as a donkey's liver and lungs. Much stronger, but at this moment, Tang Aojia and Zhang Haoyin finally arrived at the door of the hotel. The crowd saw this, hurriedly made way for the two bigwigs. At the same time, he exclaimed, don't you see that Mr. Tang? And Zhang Haoyin and young Master Zhang came together, and the little quack in front of me, looking at Don Aojia's gloomy expression. I can't help but secretly guess. Mr. Tang looked in a bad mood, who made him angry. Soon, Tang Aojia walked to Tang with a gloomy face, Xiu Wan and Chen Yuan in front of him. Seeing this, Tang Xiuwen hurriedly turned around and said, brother, what are you doing here? I can handle this little thing. You go in first. But Don Aojia didn't speak. He jerked his hand. Facing Tang Xiuwen is a big ear scrape. Slapped Tang Xiuwen the cheek. This inexplicable operation immediately stunned Tang Xiuwen. He immediately covered his face and questioned Brother Dao on the spot. What are you doing? Why hit me? And Tang Aojia immediately took a serious look. He winked. Then he pointed at Chen Yuan suddenly. Annoyed, he said, what the hell did you do stupidly? Don't you have a little pressure in your heart? Hurry over and apologize to Mr. Yin. As soon as this remark came out, everyone was stunned in an instant. Everyone was shocked by each other's youth. No one could have imagined. This young man in his early 20s. It's actually Mr. Shenhao Yin. And Don Aojia was the first to bend down. Sincerely apologized. Mr. Yin apologized. My brother just ran into you. I apologize to you on his behalf. The man was stopped at the door by the rich second generation and humiliated on the street. Chen Yuan, who couldn't bear it, patted his paw directly and arrogantly expressed, even if Tang Aojia, the boss of the Tang Group, came, there's no right to wake him up. For a long time, Seoul is too top rich and handsome. Tang Aojia and Zhang Haoyin rushed to the scene, and Tang Aojia, who knew the strength of Mr. Yin, didn't say a word. Directly gave Tang Xiuwen a big ear scraper. Then bend down first. Sincerely apologized to Mr. Yin. I'm sorry my brother ran into you. I apologize to you on his behalf. As soon as this remark came out, immediately the audience remembered by rote. Everyone present was a little shocked. And Yin is such a young guy. Immediately after that, the little Gaga began to change their faces rapidly. From the original reminiscence, it has become a scramble for praise and stammering. At this time, Tang Xiuwen looked at Chen Yuan's figure. Resolute was dumbfounded. He roared in disbelief on his face. Mr. Bien turned out to be far away. Playing the piano and playing basketball I lost all the time. This time, even my family background was completely lost. Looking at the dust that was surrounded in the middle, Tang Xiuwen felt like a clown. He didn't expect that. Chen Yuan is actually the legendary 10 billion boss. He couldn't help but sigh secretly that he was the protagonist. The nemesis of my hit. That's when it happened. Zhang Haoyin, who was in the first class, hurriedly stood up. Chao Chen Yuan accompanied brother Drunken Daoyan. It's that I didn't arrange it properly. I should have sent someone to pick you up myself. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. Chen Yuanyin immediately smiled slightly, patted Zhang Haoyin on the shoulder, opened his mouth to talk about the relationship between our brothers. Am I going to blame you for this little thing? Mr. Zhang said this, and he saw the outside. Seeing Chen, he didn't blame himself either. Zhang Haoyan couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Then he turned to the crowd and said hello. The dinner party is about to begin. Let's go in first. After all, we are all soul. There is a head. The man with the face should not just stand at the door. And Qin Bingxue. At this time, he looked at the figure that was gradually moving away. I couldn't help but be secretly shocked in my heart. I thought Chen Yuan was just a superficial nouveau riche. I didn't expect him to be really low-key. Thinking of Chen Yuan's true identity. As long as he is public at school. The identity of his own god. I'm afraid the girls in the whole school will go crazy for him. But he has been hiding his identity. Mixed in as an ordinary person. The more Qin Bingxue thought about it, the more he felt. His actions towards Chen Yuan were too embarrassing. Chen Yuan didn't need to solve the siege by himself at all. Once again, he was self-inflicted. Immediately, Qin Bingxue fell into chagrin. It's over. I'm carrying a swallow today. The task of the total investment company comes. But with the current awkward situation, how embarrassed I was to talk to Chen Yuan about the company. Financing things. Immediately, Qin Bingxue was a little annoyed. Looked at Chen Yuan's figure. If you can't secretly make enemies, do you really have to rely on Hugh? Soon everyone was seated. The auction is also about to begin. And the subject of today's auction. It is to gather the rich circle of soul. Acquisition of bankrupt businesses mortgaged by banks. Completed capital mergers and acquisitions. Effectively drive economic development. Zhang Haoyan, who was sitting with Chen Yuan. Suddenly, he spoke. Brother Yin is the first part of today's dinner. It's a charity auction. There are not only jewelry and antiques. Equity in the company. There is even land. We'll definitely be interested. Isn't Chen Yuan stunned when he heard this? Zhang Haoyan couldn't help grinning when he saw this. Yes. This time Soul is to support this charity auction. A piece of high-quality land was also taken out. As soon as I heard it, there is so much to spend in this auction. Chen Yuan couldn't help but secretly rejoice. It seems that this auction has come to the right place. I'm so worried I can't find it. Where to spend money? Those corporate companies that are about to be auctioned. There is even land. These need dozens at every turn. Tens of billions of dollars of money. For me, it's just a sprinkle. However, for Gifties, Chen Yuan was a little difficult. The system stipulates that women must be paid for. But who should I give these things to when I buy them? Is it for Xiao Ruoyu or Zhao Yuqi? Come to think of this, Chen Yuan suddenly had an idea. There appears to be a binding object sitting in the field. Immediately, Chen Yuan secretly looked at him, locked on Qin Bingxue's body. I thought to myself, or simply, give it to Qin Bingxue who happened to be at the scene. But, thinking of Qin Bingxue's cold appearance, there is also a friendship rating of up to -10 points. Qian Ren immediately sighed secretly in his heart. Forget it. This woman seems to have something wrong with her brain. Even if you send him money, he doesn't necessarily appreciate it, right? That's when it happened. The little quacks suddenly came together, exclaimed towards the door. How did he come? Chun Yan Wenqing couldn't help but look at the door curiously. In the sight is a temperament clearing. A beautiful girl like an elf. Qian Yin couldn't help but secretly suppressed it to the point of high hanging. What is he doing here? It's coming. It's coming. The auction of the soul circle of the rich has finally begun. One of the lots. It turned out to be tens of billions worth of land. Just when Yin always thought about whether to do it. When I bought it and gave it to Qin Bingxue. Popular female stars chant high. Suddenly appeared in the middle of the auction. Shun Yuan looked at Gao Haneo. I couldn't help but secretly rejoice in my heart. It's easy to do with him. Or just put all the lots tonight. Buy them all and forget it. However, after Chun Yuan looked at Han Sanshue, I can't help but be a little confused. Is there a problem with today's position? Why is the position of the high-hanging moan so far back? And Han Sanshue is also famous and famous. The boss of the Han group. Why do you only deserve to sit in the second row? That's when it happened. Chen Yi suddenly saw the name next to him. Chu Tonghui's vacant seat. He couldn't help but secretly suppress it in his heart. Chu Tonghui is not the name of the number one in Hansheng. It seems that I am the name of Mr. Yin. It is also very popular in the whole of Seoul. And yet at this moment, a tall man, slim, as graceful as a swan, wears simple casual clothes. The woman with a peaked cap smiled, sat on the seat next to Chen Yuan. The woman did not wear makeup. I didn't finish the gown either. She has a very special temperament. It's natural, no matter what the occasion. No matter what kind of dress you are wearing. He looked slim, as graceful as a swan. It gives people a feeling of being a lady. See this scenario. The little quacks couldn't help but talk about it. Who is this young girl? How did he sit in Secretary Chu's position? And the informed voice hurriedly reminded. Don't talk nonsense. The family is Chu Yuma, the only daughter of Secretary Chu. Secretary Chu can't come today because of something. The man's eyes lit up instantly. Is he Secretary Chu's daughter? It's completely different from those vulgar fans. If only I could catch him. I feel like I can fight for at least 50 years less. And Chen Yuan's body, after being systematically strengthened, he has become deaf and clear-sighted. Even if some people in the back row talk very quietly, he also heard it clearly. Chen Yuan couldn't help but secretly suppressed it in his heart. I didn't expect the identity background of this beauty. It's so unusual. Come to think of it. Chen Yuan hurriedly turned his head away. But I secretly decided in my heart. This kind of girl who is a beautiful girl. Never provoke. And yet at this moment, Tang Aojia, who was sitting not far from Chen, suddenly came to Chu Yuma. Hello, Miss Chu. I'm Don Aojia. Nice to meet you. Tang Aojia looked at Chu Yuma's moving face. I can't help but feel secretly proud in my heart. This is the daughter of the number one. If only you could climb the high branches. In the future, it will be very beneficial to the development of the group. If I can go further, even if it's a marriage, it's not impossible. And Chu Yuma saw this. Also politely replied to Mr. Tang, hello? I'm also glad to be able to meet you. After speaking, he shook Tang Aojia's outstretched hand. However, Chu Yuma secretly compared it in his heart. Here are the familiar politeness and eighth sister again. I knew it early. I didn't agree to my father to come to this kind of broken bowl feast. Chu Yuma didn't like those initiatives. Someone who talked to him. After he saw Chen Yuan, who ignored him. Suddenly, I wondered that this person was so good-looking. Is so young that he is qualified to talk to Tang Aojia. This old thing sits together. Suddenly, Chu Yuma looked at Chen Yuan with some curiosity. Hello. My name is Chu Yuma. What's your name? Chen Yuan heard his question but did not answer. Instead, he pretended not to hear it. Chu Yuma immediately felt a little unhappy when he saw this. I couldn't help muttering in my heart. This guy really didn't hear it. Still pretending not to hear. You look scared of me. Am I scary? And Chen Yuan was already sweating profusely at this time. He didn't decide to do it secretly. There must be no contact with him. Not even talking. In case that dog system binds me without permission, that's the end of the calf. Can be in the appearance of emoji and Chen Yuan. Immediately unrelenting by Shou Dao. What the hell is going on with you? Why don't you say your name when I ask you? You're too rude. This time, even Tang Aojia on the side couldn't stand it anymore. He couldn't help frowning. You're too cold, aren't you? This is Secretary Chu's daughter. And Zhang Haoyan saw this. Hurriedly said Brother Yin towards Chen Yuan. Why don't you say hi? Seeing this situation, Chen Yuan knew that there was no way to avoid it. When the guitar turned around and scratched his head, his name is Chen Yuan. As soon as the words fell, the system immediately sounded to indicate that the dog-licking operation was started. Name, Chu Yuma, age 22. Height 173 centimeters, weight 54 kilograms, appearance 9.1 points. The girl's favorability towards the host is 0. Bind the dog-licking relationship. When the woman's opinion of the host is over 95. The counterattack was successful. Identity transition. The other party will become the host. Licking the dog counterattack is completed, and 10% of the consumption of the dog licking gold will be rewarded. Rewards 35 boost points. Bonus skill gun mastery. And Chu Yuma saw Chen Yuan turn around. I couldn't help but look at him curiously. I secretly said in my heart what was going on with this person. He's not ugly. Why did you just avoid me? And Chen Yuan was hearing the system binding. After a successful prompt, immediately, his face was full of remorse, and he secretly cursed in his heart. The dog system pits me again. And Chu Yuma saw Chen Yuan. Not only did he not take the initiative to scold himself, even looks like he's going to be far away from himself. I can't help but secretly I call Chen Yuan in my heart. I remember you. The woman is dressed in casual clothes, but he sat in the position of the leader in Seoul. Even Tang Aojia, a billion-dollar boss. They all took the initiative to talk to him. But Chu Yuma accosted these people who took the initiative to talk to him. It's all extremely suspicious and annoying. But he was beside him. Actually sat when a young man. I can't help but feel some. Curious, he took the initiative to say hello. For fear of being bound by the system, the dust is far from being pressured. I had to turn around and introduce myself, but I didn't expect it to be just a response. The system is directly bound to the dog-licking relationship. And at the end of the day, Chen Yuan is actually different from other men. Looks like I'm afraid of having something to do with myself. I couldn't help but secretly remember him. Over time, celebrities from Seoul took their seats. The charity auction has officially begun. Soon a presenter walked up to the podium, declared Mr. and Madam. The charity dinner officially began. Now, please give us our first lot of the evening. And the host is a seductive-looking woman. The well-known actor Ouyang Lin is short-sighted. As soon as the words fell, a necklace was displayed on the display stand. Professional auctioneers immediately begin to introduce the first item to be auctioned today. It's called Star of the Seas. After the Titanic burst into flames, a well-known jewelry company, a Star of the Sea necklace was designed specifically for it, using the world's best craftsmanship. Middle. It is inlaid with a blue heart shape that is rare in the world. Diamond. There are also many white diamonds around the perimeter. Believe in the lady who owns this necklace. Will also have Jack and Ruth alike. Unsettling love. Immediately after that, the auction was spoken again. This necklace is the world. One of the top 10 luxury necklaces. The starting price is 1 or 200 million. As soon as the words fell, the girls below spoke one after another. If only there was a man willing to buy this necklace for me. I am willing to remarry. And some resent their dad for not working hard enough. As a result, he could not afford it. Some of them cried. If you can't get this necklace, my figure and looks. There are also good qualities such as social etiquette. Even the soul will be destroyed. After 10 seconds of silence at the scene, finally someone started bidding. The price suddenly rose to 150 million. Because of the world. The name of one of the top 10 luxury necklaces. Even if it is sold, it will not depreciate in value. Chen Yuan raised the number 5 card in his hand. Then calmly shouted that I will give 300 million. As soon as this remark came out, the audience memorized it by rote. Everyone else is going up by 10 million. Apparently, Mr. Yan's moved to double at every turn. It's too hurtful. Even Chu Yuma stared. The round one glanced at the dust. He couldn't help but secretly suppress it in his heart. I didn't expect this guy to be so arrogant. I thought it was the son of a wealthy family. I didn't expect people to be wealthy themselves. Even if it's an auction vision that is accustomed to big scenes. I couldn't help but be shocked in my heart. 150 million first translators were Li Han. Who dares to fight with you in this Nima? Immediately, the auctioneer hurriedly turned on his face, pointing in Chen Yuan's direction. Mr. Yin, who spoke again in seat number 5, bid 300 million. Is there a higher bid? When the auctioneer shouted 300 million for the first time, some are indicated by the elders of the family. Take down the children of the heart of the ocean. Immediately, he secretly scolded Chen Yuan countless times in his heart. And some little gaga, who didn't have the guts to compete with Mr. Yin, hurriedly comforted the female companion beside him. After counting to 3, the auctioneer immediately shouted out a sentence of 300 million. 3 deals. Subsequently, the waiter came to Chen Yuan with the machine, and Chen Yuan indifferently took out the system black card. At the same time, I command you to wrap up this necklace. In the future, just give it to the lady Gao Xinyun in the back row. It was my gift to him. As soon as the words fell, the audience was shocked in an instant. There was almost half the eyes of the people at the scene. They all looked towards the high-hanging groan. And the high-hanging, I didn't expect Chen Yuan to be so domineering. He's already gone, too. Immediately, the system remembered to prompt a high-hanging opinion overtime. Gao Xinyun really didn't know that he was at this moment. What kind of mood is it? And Gao Lang's on the side was full of excitement. My heavenly sister, Mr. Yin actually wants to give you the heart of the ocean. Suddenly, the system sounded again, prompting a high-hanging opinion overtime. At this time, Gao Hanging couldn't help but look at the back of Chen Yuan. In the heart of the secret channel, how could I suddenly think that he was not so annoying? He's obviously the type of scumbag I hated the most before. But when Chen Yuan was in front of everyone, publicly put this heart of the ocean worth 300 million. When it was given to me, I actually felt shyness and snickering. Gao Xian in the blink of an eye. Yun's favorability towards Chen Yuan soared to 35 points. The man in front of him was generous. It's heart-pounding. But then Gao Xinyun thought about it. I am just a lover. It was like a basin of cold water poured over the head. He hurriedly said in his heart, "You must not be easily moved. Don't fall into his trap. I am an independent woman with ideals and aspirations. Come to think of it." Gao Xinyun once again strengthened her heart. He spent so much money, just trying to toy with me. Aren't you going to hit me with money? Then I'll spend your money on death. Let you know how good I am. Makes you feel the pain. Meanwhile, Ouyang Ling has already begun to introduce. The second item was auctioned. Here's the big thing, everyone. This is followed by the second lot of the day. As soon as the words fell, Ouyang Ling suddenly lifted the red cloth. At the same time, it is a piano that is open. But not your average piano. He is the Hansman crystal piano. It is the second best piano in the world. Made from pure crystal. A generation of piano master Lang Shan. I used this piano before. After the passionate speech was introduced, Ouyang Ling suddenly waved his hand. The starting price is 30 million. The moment the piano was unfolded in the eyes of everyone, it immediately amazed the audience. Soon there was a bidding competition, and there are still a lot of people competing. This piano also holds its value. It doesn't matter if you can play the piano or not. Collectibles are definitely not at a loss. The price was quickly called to 45 million. That's when it happened. Chen Yin lifted the number plate in his hand again, then casually shout out a price. I'll give 200 million. Looking at this beautiful piano, Chen Yuan couldn't help but secretly decide in his heart. This piano is not bad. You can buy it and give it to Chairman Zhao Wang. Maybe it will make his favorability continue to increase. However, just when Chen Yuan thought he was going to take it, a girl suddenly remembered that I was out of 210 million. Chen Yuan couldn't help but feel a little surprised. I didn't think it was 200 million. There are still people competing with him. The man raised his hand and paid 200 million to buy a necklace. Moreover, he also wants to give this necklace to the popular actress. Hanging high in silver. The favorability of the high-hanging silver soared to 35 points. And the high-hanging silver that originally had no good impression of Chen Yuan. Now I actually feel shyness and joy. Can be subsequent. He thought that he was just a lover. It was like a basin of cold water poured over the head. Gao Hangin hurriedly strengthened his heart, and secretly decided in his heart to make Chen Yuan suffer. Chunren didn't have time to deal with him. Casually married 200 million again. I'm going to buy a piano for King Zhao Yuqi. However, just when Chen Yuan thought he was going to take it, as soon as the girl arrived, she suddenly remembered that I gave 210 million. Chun Rin immediately inquired about the prestige. I saw a woman with red hair sit in the middle of the third row. Chen Yuan recognized it at a glance. That is the daughter of the true fire group. He does not secretly make enemies. No wonder you dare to grab the piano with me. It turned out to be a real fire group that made a fortune by making games. Although the true fire group is only arrogant. But today, this piano Chen Yuan is bound to win. Maybe it can make Zhao Yuqi. Favorability continues to increase. Immediately, he said lightly, I will give 300 million. And Shangguan Fire just glared at Chen Yuan fiercely from behind. He still didn't give up. The price was raised again to 310 million. Chen Yuanji and Shangguan Huo continued to increase the price. He couldn't help but glance at him with some annoyance. He's getting a little annoyed already. Immediately afterwards, Chen Yuan raised his eyebrows. Directly quoted the price of 500 million. The price of 500 million came out. Immediately, the audience gasped. Such a sky-high price. It has surpassed the world's first piano. There has never been a piano in the world. Can be auctioned for a sky-high price of 500 million. The auctioneer alliance stabilizes the mind. Then he began to ask questions downward. Mr. Yin in seat 5. Bid 500 million. Is there anyone else offering a higher price? At this time, the audience was silent. No one spoke. Today's auction. Enough to make this crystal piano become the world's #1 piano. At the moment when I heard the 500 million deal, Shangguan Huo immediately frowned towards Shun Run and looked at him viciously. Auction the piano at such a sky-high price. I couldn't help but shout impassionedly. Thanks to Mr. Yin for his strong support for charity. That's when it happened. Shangguan was suddenly said in a strange way. Mr. Yin is really as rich as rumored. Bow down. But the piano thing. It's a waste to buy it back and put it up. You have to be able to play. Chen Yuan Wenqing immediately turned around. Secretly said this little girl in my heart. If you can't shoot it, do you want to influence me? It seems that I won't stop pretending to force you. Immediately, he pretended to be an accident to Miss Shangguan. How do you know I can play the piano? Followed by, Chen Yin volunteered to walk to the stage. At the same time, I opened my mouth. Since Miss Shangguan has said so. So I went up and played a song. Let's inspect the goods. After coming to the stage again, Chen Yuan couldn't help but feel secretly proud in his heart. Let me feel it. How terrifying is the 60-year piano memory? When Chen Yuan sat on the crystal piano, start playing the piano. Key for a moment. His temperament changed suddenly. When the piano sounds, a song Castle in the Sky immediately shakes reality. Castle in the Sky was originally a world-famous song. The melody is melodious and pleasant, tear-jerking, and under Shan Ren's performance, almost instantly. This one, the music resonates with the soul of the notes. Everyone present was without exception. They all collectively felt a share. The feeling of a fluttering heart. Their emotions, pulled with the flow of notes. The feelings buried deep in everyone's hearts completely exploded. It's like a flash flood in a tsunami. The softest part of my heart is touched. They unconsciously remembered their youthful frivolity. I remembered running in the sunset. It's their lost youth. A touch from the soul, accompanied by a mournful melody. Most of the audience is unknowingly. Tears have flowed down my eyes. Even the high hangers were shocked. He couldn't help but secretly suspect in his heart. People who can play such music. Could it really be dirty inside? Did I have a misunderstanding about him? Immediately, the system sounded frantically. Hints for opinion overtime. Several tips for promotion in quick succession. A song of Castle in the Sky. Direct. Increased Hai Hang's opinion to 55. Meanwhile, Qin Bingxue was also fierce. He couldn't help but burst into tears under the rendering of the music. At the same time, I secretly fell in my heart. I finally understand now. Expect Y will like the dust far away. It turned out this guy It meets all the standards of male gods. His music is so pure. The heart should also be a pure person. I don't know his story. Who is qualified to judge others? I immediately remembered. The system prompts Chen Bingshua's favorability to increase by 100. Current opinion is 5. And Chen Yuan just finished playing. Just see. Chen Bingshua's favorability skyrocketed by 100 points on the spot. He was secretly shocked to the point of slumping. What the hell is this woman doing? Is there such a big mood swing? Chen Yuan couldn't help but feel secretly proud as he walked. Chen Bingshue. Could it be that he was also conquered by his brother's talent? Sure enough, on some special occasions, talent is more effective than money. Chen Yuan just returned to his seat. Chu Yuma next to him immediately began to take the initiative to talk to him. I didn't expect you to play the piano so well. Why don't we add a contact information? In fact, I have some questions about professional skills. I would like to ask you for advice. It's coming. It's coming. Finally arrived at what Mr. Yin was thinking about. The auction of the bankrupt company is over. Just now, after Chen Yuan bought a piano worth 300 million. He also showcased 60 years of piano skills. As soon as Chu Yuma saw Chen Yuan step down, immediately took the initiative to ask for his contact information. Chen Yuan saw Chu Yuma taking the initiative. I couldn't help but raise my eyebrows. I secretly said in my heart that this is a fancy for me. It's a pity that I don't really want to have anything to do with you. Come to think of it, Chen Yuan casually found an excuse. Excuse me if I refuse. I forgot to bring my phone when I went out today. But Chu Yuma saw through Chen Yuan's heart at once. Thinking about it, he couldn't help but secretly say in his heart that he actually rejected me. This man is so special. He is willing. There will be no attempt at my gentlemanly background. Immediately, the system began to sound wildly. When Chu Yuma's favorability is good. After 3 prompts popped up in a row. Chu Yuma's current opinion is 30 points. This is a sudden beep. Immediately, Chen Yuan was stunned. He couldn't help but complain secretly in his heart with a strange face. Refuse to allow girls to add contact information. You can actually increase your favorability. What a sassy operation this is. But Chu Yuma, just like it and don't. Dealing with people of any purpose. He continued to smile and say that he didn't have his phone with him. That's okay too. You give me your phone number. I'll call you next time. Chen Yuan Wenyan was immediately speechless. He hurriedly said, I don't have a good memory. I remember my phone number. But Chu Yuma didn't feel embarrassed at all. It's okay to keep talking. Give me your identification number. I'll just send someone to check my phone number. As soon as this remark came out, the rain was too strong in the eyes of the dust. Sure enough, she is worthy of being the daughter of the number 1. There is nothing he can get if he only wants. See the woman who can't get rid of this difficult one. Chen Yuan had no choice but to accept his fate. I'm so defeated by you. Can I add you? Chu Yuma finished adding. Immediately glanced at Chen Yuan. I knew you had your phone. You want to lie to me. Immediately, he couldn't help but feel a little proud. Sure enough, it's best to get it yourself. Those who take the initiative to post upside down are generally not good goods. That's when it happened. The auctioneer opened his mouth again and announced to you. Let's auction the items next. There will be some differences from before. Not a jewel or jade artwork, artifacts and things like that. Rather, it is a mortgage auction for a bankrupt company. Chen Yuanxing immediately began to have starlight in his eyes. Secretly rejoiced, for me. That's the highlight of the night. Then the host began to introduce the first company we auctioned. It's called Big Cat TV. In the golden age of the development of internet premiere platforms, Big Cat TV used to be the top 5 premiere platforms in China. The market value once reached more than 1 billion. Later, for various reasons, Big Cat TV declared bankruptcy. The starting price is 50 million. As soon as the words fell, Chen Yuan immediately. I can't wait to raise the number plate in my hand. The bid said I would give 60 million. After Chen Yuan got married, Almost everyone in the scene was silent. It seems that no one is buying at all. Immediately, Chen Yuan looked around. See how quiet it is around. He couldn't help but secretly suppress it in his heart. What's going on? There was no one to ask for a price. Is Big Cat TV so daunting? And a bunch of little quacks looked at Chun Rin's puzzled expression. At the same time, he roared in his heart. What do you look at? Who's going to compete with you? Your way of doubling the bid. Who can afford to play with you? That's when it happened. The auctioneer suddenly spoke loudly. Cigarette total in seat 5. Bid 60 million. Is anyone willing to pay a higher price? Is there really no one offering a higher price? This is once a city. A large-scale premier platform worth more than 1 billion. The auctioneer asked several times, except for Chen Yuan. There really isn't anyone buying. After counting to 3, he immediately made the final decision. Big Cat TV at a price of 60 million was successfully won by Chen Yuan. Then the auctioneer spoke aloud. I hope that Big Cat TV is in the hands of Mr. Yin. Regain its former glory. As soon as the words fell, the scene immediately burst into thunderous applause. Meanwhile, Han Sanshui's mobile phone rang suddenly. It was a message from a private detective. About Yinzhua. That is, Chen Yuan's actual information has been found. Call back if you know the details. After seeing this text message, Han Sanshui couldn't help frowning. In my heart, I was secretly proud. Chen Yuan, right? I'll see how long you'll be able to get complacent. Over time, the auction continues. And Han Sanshui is. Can't wait to walk outside the auction. I said it was me on the other end of the phone. What did Chen Yuan find? Tell me everything. Men sweep at the auction. Where to take out the goods. All auctioned at double the price. And Han Sanshui in the crowd. Suddenly, I received a message from a private detective. At the end of learning about Chen Yuan, after the details have been checked, he suddenly smiled sinisterly. Immediately, Han Sanshui couldn't wait to walk outside the venue. Urgently asked about Chen Yuan. Then Han Sanshui slowly turned on the lighter. Quickly calmed down, quietly waiting for the berth on the other end of the phone. Then the other end of the phone began to report Chen Yuan. Gender, male, 21 years old. Han Chinese were born in Mayang County, Tianmin City, Hubei Province. His father's name is Chen Jianhong. The mother's name is Ma Chiome. They are all ordinary farmers who are engaged in fruit cultivation. The family background and the gentlemen are extremely ordinary. In the primary school where Chen Yuan studied, graduated from Twin Peaks Elementary School in the prefecture. In junior high school, he studied in the number 3 middle school in Mayang County. Chen Yuan graduated from Tianyi High School in high school. The university is Hu University in this city. The academic background is also very ordinary. But I was inquiring about his payment bank account, only to find out that it was the best in the world. VIP account at the highest level. People around the world who have accounts of this tier. Definitely no more than 50 people. And this kind of account at the time of payment. There are no restrictions. Even if it's a one-time transfer of tens of billions, there will be no restrictions either. This kind of account is average. It is only used for large-scale grants at the national level. As soon as I heard this, Han Sanshui couldn't help but be the same as Kong. Secretly shocked in my heart. Can an average family have an account of this level? Are you kidding? A young man from an ordinary family background. How is it possible to have such a horrible bride price? Bought hundreds of millions of necklaces and gave them away in public. And Chen Yuan's piano skills on stage. Absolutely extraordinary. How can an ordinary family cultivate such a skill? This guy's profile is absolutely fake. Tampered with the thought of this. Han Sanshui's face suddenly changed. Cold sweat and so on. If only Chen Ye's forces could do it. You can tamper with official documents at will. So how powerful is his family? Followed by. Han Sanshui hurriedly said to the other end of the phone. Give it to me right away. Stop the investigation. Stop immediately. Here no. Then Han Sanshui hung up the phone. couldn't help but scold and scold to the slot. I almost got into trouble. And the little quack who saw this scene on the side. I couldn't help but be secretly shocked in my heart. Was it Han Sanshue, the helmsman of the Han family, just now? He seems to be checking the general information. But obviously, the results of the investigation almost scared the hell out of him. Come to think of it, little Gaga's husband couldn't help but want to start a chapter. Could it be that the family behind Mr. Yin? Is it really a so-called film and television family? Meanwhile, at this time, it's time for free time. Celebrities also began to interact with each other. And just now the little quack was back in the crowd. Instantly, he began to tell the people around him what he had just seen. What I heard and what I guessed in my heart. Not for a while. Bai Mao found Zhang Haoyan with excitement on his face. Brother Tian, I just heard about a swallow. Rumors of total identity background. Zhang Haoyan couldn't help but say curiously. Yes, let's hear it. Bai Mao hurriedly said, I just heard about it. Mr. Yin seems to be from China. The Chen family, one of the 4 mysterious families. The family is said to have always been mysterious. Always hidden in the shadows. But the shadow of this family is everywhere in history. Speaking of which, Bai Mao suddenly spoke again with a face full of adoration. According to the grapevine, it is very likely that Mr. Yin is the young master of the Chen family. And his appearance. It is likely that the Chen family has decided to enter the house. Of course, the storm is coming soon. And Zhang Haoyan listened to Bai Mao's rhetoric. Couldn't help patting Xiao Xinduan. Exhale a breath of turbid air. No wonder Mr. Yin made an extraordinary move. And his own memory is superb. If you are born in film and television, it is normal. This world is really outside of people. There are people outside of heaven, and there are heavens outside of heaven. I'm Zhang. The clan has only achieved success in the small place of Seoul. Is the opposite of the Chen family, where Mr. Yin was terrified. Sure enough, I can't catch up with the horse. The edge of the dust that is the focus. The same is true for these things. Gossip about your own background. He couldn't help but secretly complain in his heart about the news. How I didn't know I was. The young master of the film and television family. My dad seems to be a fruit seller. You're blowing too much, isn't it? That's it. A girl suddenly came from Chen Yuan's side. Interrupted his thoughts. That is Mr. Yin himself. The next moment, the celebrities at the dinner gathered around Chen Yuan. Kept giving Chen Yuan his phone number. And said that the house has been opened. Chen Yuan, who experienced this kind of scene for the first time. I couldn't help but exclaim in my heart. What is the situation with them? Men are just there. Hundreds of millions were spent at the auction. A large group of celebrities actually surrounded him and rushed to give him a monkey. It's just because the entire Seoul-rich circle is going viral. The air of the film and television family city of Chen Yuan City. And at the cocktail party, men and women began to invite each other to dance. It's one of the celebrities. Very normal social activities. And a group of celebrities are like Lai Pai candy, tightly clinging to Chen and holding on, and rushed to dance with Chen Ren. Immediately, Chen Ren was sweating profusely. After all, he wasn't quite comfortable yet. This feeling of being surrounded by women. The next moment, Chen Yuan noticed the high-hanging groan not far away. Immediately, his heart was bleeding. It's he who has a way out of the predicament now. Immediately, Chen Yuan hurriedly squeezed out of the celebrities. I'm sorry at the same time. I already have 5 petals. It's over there. Soon Chen Yuan came to Gao Xianin. Then a very gentlemanly hand was stretched out. Invited to this beautiful young lady. Do I have the pleasure of inviting you to a dance? Gao Xianin suddenly became fierce when he saw this. He couldn't help but say in his heart, Chen Yuan actually took the initiative to invite me to dance. Shouldn't I say no? In case he takes advantage of me while dancing. So what to do? But when I thought of Chen Yuan, it was just now. Give yourself that value. 300 million hearts of the ocean. Gao hung but couldn't help it. Zhang Ko refused Chen Yuan's invitation. Just when Gao Hangin hesitated. Chen Yuan suddenly grabbed his hand violently, caught off guard by a high-hanging groan, immediately cried towards Chen Yuan, and Chen Yuan took advantage of the situation to stop him and hold him steadily. In the high-hanging, feeling Chen Yuan's hand on his waist, his face turned red in an instant. "What are you doing?" And Chen Yuan smiled slightly and said, "Tonight, to dance with you. I've already rejected 18 girls. If you don't speak, I'll say yes." Immediately, the system sounded a prompt. Dance specialization skills are activated. Soon the two were dancing on the dance floor. Skill overwhelms the audience. The dancing technique of the high-hanging chant is very good. However, Chun Yan's dancing skills are not bad. It's just because he counterattacked the two dancers. Proficient doggy-licking object. The current dance skills are at least 10 years old. There was physical contact. The feelings between people will heat up quickly. Gao Heng groaned suddenly felt. The relationship between him and Chen Yuan is much closer. Feeling the fiery temperature coming from Chen Yuan's palm, Gao Xining couldn't help but look at Chen Yuan. In the heart of the secret channel. What this guy does. It's always so unexpected. Is this his unique way of forming? But I don't seem to hate his domineering behavior. One thought. Everything that has been done for himself before and after Chen Yuan. But he never asked for anything in return. Gao Xiong couldn't help but blush. In the heart of the secret channel. I kind of like it now. Immediately the system sounded. Improves suspense favorability. The current friendship of the dance is 60 points very quickly. Everyone looked at Chen Yuan and Gao Xining. Dance on the dance floor. Dancing like a fairy couple. Someone is envious. Someone is jealous. Of course, there are also blessings. After all, the appearance of Gao Hengyin is really high. Meanwhile, Chu Yuma was looking at Chen Yuan and Gao Xining with interest, dancing and secretly fighting in your heart. Chunren, is it dancing with the girl he gave the necklace? I didn't expect this guy to be unexpectedly single-minded. Doesn't seem to care about the high-hanging scandal at all. Chu Yuma had been secretly observing just now. He found Chinren back and forth. At least 18 girls were rejected. At this time, he had this talented boy in his heart. It was more and more appreciated. But Chu Yuma admired Chen Yi more and more. I was also a little angry in my heart. This guy turned me down. Am I not as good as the high-hanging silver? And yet at this moment, Tang Aojia suddenly walked over. Elegant and confident, Zhao Chu Yuma invited Miss Chu. Can I invite you to do a dance? And Chu Yuma didn't think about it. I can't refuse it directly and impatiently. I don't know how to dance. And I have no interest in old men. Don't try to get close to me. When Yin Tang Aojia, who was only 30 years old, told the truth instantly. I'm just 30 years old. How can you be an old man? Meanwhile, Chen Yuan had just finished dancing with Gao Xining. Subsequently, he didn't pay attention to the high-hanging moans outside the world. Instead, he looked at the system panel and was secretly proud. This dance is not bad. It also grew 5 points of favorability. It's in. Chen Yuan was about to take a break at halftime. Behind him, Chu Yuma's voice suddenly came. Chen Yuan, you wait a while before you go. I saw that Chu Yuma had just left Tang Aojia. He ran to Chen Yuan. Take the initiative to invite you to dance with me. As soon as I heard it. At these words, Tang Aojia immediately almost vomited blood. Didn't you just say you couldn't dance? And Tang Xiuwen on the side was crying with a sad face. Do you understand my feelings now? This woman is the daughter of the top leader in Seoul. But he fell in love with Chen Yuan, who ignored him. Even Don Aojia, this rich and handsome man with assets of more than 10 billion. Chu Yuma was also full of disgust and had no good impression of him. Then Chu Yuma came to Chen Yuan. Then take the initiative to invite him to dance with himself. But Chen Yuan refused directly without thinking about it. Excuse me. I'm just a little tired from jumping. I want to take a break. And Chu Yuma Wanyan was not only angry. Instead, he opened his mouth with curiosity and said that it was okay not to jump. Then let me ask you a question. You have to answer me honestly. Chen Yuan saw Chu Yuma so stubborn. I couldn't help but secretly say in my heart, this woman is too cruel. How good it is to put that perseverance to work. However, Chen Yuan is not easy to refuse. I have to be filial and filial, since Miss Chu wants to understand me. Let's go and have a chat. Soon the two of them were on the edge of the banquet. I sat down on the plush sofa and began to rest. Just sat down for a while. Chu Yuma asked without saying anything. Do you have a girlfriend? Is high-hanging Moan your girlfriend? Chun Yinza said honestly, not yet. Why do you ask this? Classical Chinese. Chu Yuma suddenly secretly attacked in his heart. It seems that the relationship has not been officially confirmed. That means I still have a chance. Then Chu Yuma asked again. You should know about the scandal on Gao Xianying. Don't you mind any of that? And Chen Yuan didn't care about Bai Shoudao. I don't mind. He'll be able to wash his name soon. Anyway, I'll spend money on him. The topic comes here. Chu Yuma suddenly felt that something was wrong. Chen Yuan seems to be regarded as a kaizi. Immediately, he asked again. Then how much did you spend on him? And Chen Yuanza didn't raise his head and said, it doesn't cost much either. He mentioned it to me before. It's just a 10 million level luxury car. A house in the magic capital of Thompson. There are also 2 big movies with an investment of 500 million. I think his demands are too low. Took the initiative to turn his back over. Chu Yuma heard this. I almost spurted out a mouthful of old blood. This is not too much to ask of Nima. This woman is obviously using you as a blanket. For a while, Miss Chu looked at Chen Yuan's eyes. There was a hint of sympathy. He couldn't help but say in his heart. Like him, he was born in a film and television family. From an early age, he was trained in a variety of professional skills. Didn't pick it up at all. Touched the scheming green tea in this society. I don't know that people are sinister. Chu Yuma felt the edge of the dust. Has been used by Gao Xianying. He used Chen Yuan to pay off his defaulted debts. All kinds of outrageous demands have been made. He felt groaning at this point. It's simply a fighter in green tea. Even if it's a girl. Chu Yuma felt that it was too much. He couldn't help but curse in his heart. You make such a request. Doesn't conscience hurt? It's just too much. Immediately, Chu Yuma said Chen Yuan with an anxious face. You don't feel high. These requests to you. Is there something wrong? But Chen Yuan didn't raise his head and said indifferently. There's nothing wrong with that. Isn't it normal for men to spend money on women? And so far, I only transferred 200 million to him. When Chu Yuma heard this, he suddenly exploded on the spot. He immediately picked up Chun Ran excitedly. Is it less excited to 200 million? He's already spent so much money on you. I'm not sure of the relationship with you yet. Can't you see his tricks? He's a green tea. Chunyan, wake up. After a while, Chu Yuma sighed silently. I don't want to say anything about you. It's okay for you to spend money on women. It's your freedom to spend money on whom you like. But you have to keep an eye on it. Otherwise, you will suffer in the future. Chun Yin was not stunned when he heard this. But there are some things that he is not convenient to explain. He had no choice but to go to Miss Chu. I think you may be misunderstood. Actually, I'm not as stupid as you think. But Chu Yuma looked at Chen Yuan with pity. Sighed in his heart, sure enough. People who are carried away by love. I don't think I'm stupid. In the last days, the more I think about it, the more I feel pitiful. Handsome looks. Talented. Piano dance. The unrighteous and unrefined, and particularly rich domineering Mr. Yen. But in terms of emotional intelligence, the blood is ridiculously low. Don't he know? A woman of truly excellent qualities. Before committing to a relationship with a man, wouldn't you just spend a man's money? Come to think of this, Chu Yuma couldn't help but sigh in his heart. A man who is extremely good in all aspects. The heart is actually simple like a junior high school student. Immediately, the system sounded 4 times in succession. Favor Du Jiao's tips. Chu Yuma's current favorability. All of a sudden, it soared to 45 points. And Chen Yuan heard the system prompt. I can't help but feel like laughing. That's what it gives long-term favorability. You think I'm a cash cow for being tricked? So feel sorry and pity me. Come to think of this. Chen Yuan couldn't help but secretly show a sneer. Since there is a misunderstanding. That's a misunderstanding. In fact, I am the ultimate king of the sea. Relationships are never needed to be determined. I'm afraid you don't know your brother's rank strength at all. Anyway, the person who misunderstood my sister was a high-hanging. He didn't bother to explain for Gao Xiaoning. The next moment, Chen Yuan suddenly deliberately asked how to blink his eyes. The Xiaoning people are gone. At the end, Chen Yuan looked around. He was immediately angry. It seems that he has entered a box with Ouyang Lin. That's all I just said. Didn't you listen to it at all? But Chen Yuan suddenly put on a serious look. I listened. But I hope you don't say anything more in the future. Do you feel like you are now? It's a bit similar to the green tea in your mouth. Hearing this, Chu Yuma immediately told the truth. Miss Chu's lungs were about to explode at this time. For more than 20 years. He was never said that. The man casually spent 200 million on female stars. But the relationship has not even been confirmed. And Chu Yuma learned about it. I couldn't help but look at the dust with pity. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. People who get carried away by love are really stupid. And with that comes soaring favorability. Chu Yuma's favorability. All of a sudden, it soared to 45 points. But Chen Yuan suddenly put on a serious look. Opening. I hope you don't say anything more in the future. The way you are now. It's a bit similar to the green tea in your mouth. Hearing this, Chu Yuma was immediately petrified on the spot. For more than 20 years. He was never said that. At this time, Miss Chu's lungs were about to explode. He immediately slammed to his feet. At the same time, he cursed in his heart. It's really kind to be a donkey's liver and lungs. Followed by, Chu Yuma silently turned on the rush mode. He left without looking back. Chen Yuan suddenly looked at Chu Yuma's back with a confused face. And Chu Yuma secretly said Chen Yuan in his heart. You wait for me. I thought I was the kind of sowing discord. A green tea that tells the truth and wrong. Something I Chu Yuma fancies. Sooner or later, it's mine. No one thought of their own words. Just let Chu Yuma get so angry. He couldn't help but secretly decide in his heart. It's really hard to serve this eldest lady. You'll have to stay away next time. Time imperceptibly arrived at 12 p.m. And the charity dinner also ushered in the end. At this time, many rich second generations have gathered around Chen Yuan, kept saying goodbye to Chen Yuan, and also scrambled to add Chen Yuan's contact information. After getting rid of the crowd, Chen Yuan couldn't help but muttered so secretly that he almost forgot. My Ferrari has been given to the high-hanging silver. I had to take a taxi back. And then just as the members were preparing the car, Zhang Haoyan suddenly came over with a fat man. At the same time, he laughed and said to Mr. Bien, You're really powerful today. It opened my eyes. Immediately followed by Zhang Hao. Tian patted the 275-year-old short and fat next to him. The kid opened his mouth and said the same thing. Let me introduce you to it. This is my little brother Zhu Xiaowei. Xiaowei, don't lower your head. Let me introduce you. Whether or not this can be done depends on your own ability. Chen Yuan couldn't help but glance at it with some curiosity. Little fat colleague. What is the matter? It's so mysterious. Zhu Xiaowei's tattoo hurriedly plucked up her courage. It's always like this when you make an airway in one breath. Are you interested in office buildings? My family has an office building ready to sell. Chen Renwinian's eyes immediately lit up. You mean an entire office building? The little fat man was actually interested when he saw Chen Ren. Hurriedly turned pale for a while. I started to talk yes. This office building is in the heart of the city. There are 41 floors in total. Each floor has an area of about 1,000 square meters. My parents are developing other industries. They sold the office building. It's about 2 billion to sell. Zhu Xiaowei's words came out. Even Zhang Haoyan on the side was shocked. The groove. I didn't expect this kid to be a fuel-efficient lamp. One mouth is 2 billion. As soon as I heard 2 billion, Chen Yi immediately opened his friend Ma. Take the initiative to say that you can add me as a friend. I'll take a look at the building another day. Is this the only building in your house? If there are more, I can also consider it. Zhu Xiaowei suddenly said again and again. Not much. That's it. Zhu Xiaowei couldn't help wiping the sweat on her forehead. Then he hurriedly took out his phone to add friends. At the same time, it is hidden in the heart. I thought, Mr. Yin. At most, I will only buy a few layers. I didn't expect people to even think that one building was not enough. I still want to buy a few more. It's really a legendary god. After that, Chen Yuan walked towards the taxi on the side. At the same time, he was calm and calm. Don't contact other buyers. I don't like to buy things and have to share it with others. Zhu Xiaowei's words are not compiled by G Turbulence. Don't worry, I'm going to call my dad. Let him return all the previous deposits. After watching Chen Yuan get into the car, Zhang Haoyan suddenly quipped, he couldn't see it. You're so rich. The stammering look just now is also pretending. And Zhu Xiaowei, who was recognized, immediately stammered. Brother Haoyan, don't laugh at me. Meanwhile, Chen Yuan, who got into a taxi, I couldn't help but think about it in my heart. Who is this building going to give it to? That's 20000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000 key. You have to find someone with a particularly strong psychological quality. That's when it happened. Taxis that have just started moving. Suddenly, there was a sudden braking, and Chen Yuan, who was thinking about it, was caught off guard. Immediately, he slammed into the chair in front of him. The thoughts were interrupted at once, and the driver, after stopping the car, immediately, he poked his head out in annoyance, scolded, and said that this woman is sick. Do you want to die? And Chen Yuan winching hurriedly looked at the front of the car. After seeing that it was Qin Bingshue's blue car, he couldn't help but complain secretly in his heart. Dao, isn't this Qin Bingshue? What kind of editor is he posting here? The next moment, Qin Bingshue suddenly moved, walked straight for the taxi. Then he was like no one around. The doors opened directly at the back. Then I sat down straight up. See this scenario. Chen Yuan and the driver were confused. Couldn't help but look at Qin Bingshue with a puzzled face. And Qin Bingshue suddenly ate and drank with a serious face. What a see. Drive your car, and the tattooed driver hurriedly swings his head. But in his heart, he was secretly sleeping. This woman is so fierce. It's a tigress. The man just got into the car. Is considering buying a building worth 2 billion to give away. But he unexpectedly encountered Qin Bingshue, stopping the car on the street. Immediately after that, there was no one next to Qin Bingshue. I moved in and walked straight to the back of the taxi. Under the bewildered gaze of Chen Yuan and the driver, I sat straight inside. But Qin Bingshue didn't intend to explain. Instead, directly signaled the driver to continue driving. And Chen Yuan looked at Qin Bingshue with a question mark on his face. I had no idea what he was trying to do. Qin Bingshue understood that the boss had high hopes for him. But until the end of the banquet, he didn't have a chance to say a word to Chen Yuan. At this time, there were no warblers and swallows around him. This is his last chance. And Chen Yuan saw that Qin Bingshue was silent. Took the lead in breaking the silence. Sister Qin Shui, what are you doing here? He couldn't help but complain secretly in his heart. Finally sent Miss Chu away. Now give me another Qin Bingshue. I met a female nerve tonight. Qin Bingshue. The tattoo immediately took on a serious gesture. Speak directly. I'm representing a tech company today. I would like to invite you tomorrow. Go to Carp Technology to investigate. This company really has potential. The team is young. We launched the Carp. At present, we have received good feedback from the market. Last month, the number of downloads in a single month exceeded 1 million. And Chen Yuan, after listening, immediately asked quietly, You mean you want to ask me for help investing? That's right. Qin Bingshue saw that Chen Yuan was so direct. Immediately I got up today. I did come with this mission. I think it's a win-win situation for you to invest in us. Because our company has a lot of potential. Classical Chinese. Chen Yuan immediately put on an interested posture. He spoke again. So you're begging me now? Is that right? Qin Bingxue saw Chen Yuan's contemptuous expression. Immediately, he said with some grievances, I want to ask you for help. I beg you. You're happy now. After saying that, Ding Shui couldn't help frowning slightly. I cursed in my heart, I really damn it. Thinking that with a few stinky money, you can do whatever you want. Can you humiliate me wantonly? When Chen Yin heard this, he immediately raised his eyebrows. It's really cool to be secretly proud in my heart. Didn't you used to be very dragged? Now you don't want to come to me to do something. Let me tease you with the thought of this. Chen Rin immediately used a more unceremonious tone. Said senior sister Qin. If you ask for someone, you should have the attitude of asking for someone. Do you know? Sometimes you want to get something. You have to learn to give something first. After speaking, Chen Yuanming posted it to Qin Bingxue. Whisper that you don't give anything. I just want to get everything. You know what I mean. As soon as this remark came out, even the driver who was driving, I can't help but curse in my heart. It's disgusting. The scumbag Qin Bingxue instantly understood when he heard this. This guy is really a scumbag. Actually wanted to take the opportunity to blackmail him. Immediately. In anger, he slapped Chen Yuan's paws away. At the same time, he said loudly, you actually want to sleep with me? Are you worthy of marble like this? Suddenly, the system frantically sounded a series of prompts. Qin Bingshue's favor is reduced by 5. But Chen Yingwenyan frowned. The disgusting white head said, what the hell is going on in your head? Do you think I'm short of women? Even if you steal it all, I'm not interested. Qin Bingxue Wanyan was stunned for a moment. He immediately reacted that Chen Yuan was scolding him. Immediately, Qin Bingxue was annoyed by the red crane and said Chen Yuan. What do you mean? But Chen Yuan said silently. You don't think the world revolves around you? If you ask me to invest, do I have to invest? We don't seem to be ripe yet. I've only met a few times. Speaking of this, Chen Yuan suddenly paused. Looking at Qin Bingxue. Again, I was kind enough to save you last time. You misunderstood me, and I didn't apologize. You didn't respect me. Wanyan Qin Bingxue suddenly became anxious. He quickly explained. I didn't apologize. I apologized to you tonight. Speaking of this, Qin Bingxue couldn't help but feel a burst of rain. Not only did he feel a little aggrieved. I see what you mean. Followed by, Qin Bingxue directly angered Chen Yuan. I brought shame on myself. Okay, I'll leave right now. Just when Qin Bingxue wanted to let the driver stop, only to find the taxi driver. At this time, it is more and more remote. And Chen Yuan glanced out the window. Find out right away. This car is not driving in the direction of Huda. Not for a while. The taxi driver suddenly slammed on the brakes. Stop the car. And Chen Yuan couldn't help but cover his face. Secretly complained in his heart. I know to stay with this woman. Probably not a good thing. I actually encountered a robbery. I saw 3 vans quickly surround the taxi group. It's clearly a planned show. Cases of organized kidnapping for ransom. It's coming. It's coming. Chen Yan's physical attributes have once again ushered in a great strengthening. Just now, Chen Ying, who was hitchhiking a ride and preparing to go home, but he was unexpectedly robbed by an organized and premeditated attack. After the taxi driver pulled the car over, 10 in total, 8 big men got out of the van one after another. They're into. There is also a waiter dressed in hotel work clothes. See this scenario. Chen couldn't help but be there. Secretly said in my heart. There are also waiters who hide in as undercover agents. It was definitely a planned one. Cases of organized kidnapping for ransom. Come to think of this. Chun Ren's face sank inadvertently. He knew he wouldn't be able to play tonight. And Qin Bingxue on the side panicked Chen Yuan. What are we going to do? And Chen Yuan Wenqing was not angry. What else can I do? So many people on the other side. Directly admit it. As soon as this remark came out, cold sweat on Qin Bingshue's head immediately began to soar. The driver who looked back saw this. I couldn't help but grin. I didn't think it would be so easy to succeed. Dick, your idea of kidnapping the rich is really good. And the waiter dressed up as a little quack hurriedly complimented Brother Dao. You're serious. Although it was my idea. But it's still up to you, big brother, to control it. In order to succeed so smoothly. I saw that the two kept blowing each other. I couldn't help but interrupt with a good smile. Big guys. There's something to say. If you can move your mouth, don't do it. You can have as much as you want. Everything is negotiable. The Wonyan driver immediately showed an excited expression. Thrilled that since you're so lost, then we won't embarrass you. I'll loosen the tie when I tie you up later. That's when it happened. Chen Yuan suddenly burst into trouble. He slammed the driver in the head. He didn't have anything left behind for this kick. Power erupts. I saw this kick come out. The driver of nearly 160 pounds was kicked 5 meters away by him, directly passed out on the spot. This time, Chen Yuan really didn't dare to stay. He knew that these were trained bandits. And the unusual gangsters are comparable. The next moment, a group of small quacks immediately followed, surrounded Chen Yuan, trying to use crowd tactics to bring him down. However, Chen Yuan was faster. His power system is 3.5 times faster than that of ordinary people. Under the explosion of power, every time you make a move, you can do it, and the translator sees Chen Ran. So I can fight. The waiter immediately pointed at Qin Bingshue and shouted. The sixth child grabbed the woman. Bite him in the hand. This man will also be caught. When Qin Bingshue heard this, he immediately turned on the anger outbreak mode. Open your mouth and shut up to arrest me. You want to eat the fart and get out of the old lady. Before Xiao Quack could make a move, Qin Bingshue, who has rich combat experience, suddenly raised his leg, kicked Xiao Quack away. Suddenly, little Gaga's face was full of disbelief. This girl can also play like this. Meanwhile, Chen Yuan looked at Qin Bingshue, who was besieged. I can't help but secretly intersect. I'm going to take them down by myself, and it's all right. Just run. Qin Bingshue can't stand it. It's going to be a quick fix. You forced me to do this. Immediately, Chen Yuan was in the secret channel system in his heart. I'm going to strengthen the strength plus 10. Constitution plus 10. Agility plus 20 just fell. The system immediately pops up Shan Yuan's personal attributes. The name is Shan Yuan. Strength 45, Physique 45, Spirit 30, Agility 55. The state is extremely strong. The moment the system reinforcement is completed, Shen Yuan's speed and power metamorphosed again. Martial arts in the world. Only fast is not broken. Up to 55 agility. So Chen Yuan didn't need any fighting skills. When his speed is to a certain extreme, the power is also ridiculously strong. All the bandits present were younger brothers. Because of the speed of Chen Yuan's punches or kicks, it's so fast that the other party doesn't have time to react. In Chen Yuan's eyes, all the robbers seem to have slowed down their attack speed. And in the eyes of the robbers, Chen Yuan's speed, it's almost unbelievable. I saw him punch him, but I couldn't react at all. Every little quack that gets hit, without exception, all of them lost their combat effectiveness. Seeing Chen Ran, he instantly eliminated the two of them. The little Gagatin on the side is level 10. Hurry up. The waiter thought. Qin Bingshue is just a weak woman. Didn't expect Qin Bingshue to raise his legs to ride. Last of your line. The foot slammed into his crotch. Immediately, the waiter shivered in pain. I can't get up at all. And Qin Bingshue was full of disdain for stinky men. Bite off more than one can chew. Grandma still dares to look around. Suddenly, a trace of ruthlessness flashed in the waiter's eyes. He was no longer going to pity Xiangxiang and cherish Jade. I saw him quickly pull out a sharp table knife. At the same time, he secretly scolded the stinky girls in his heart. Labor and management want to give you some looks. Immediately after that, the waiter picked up the knife. stabbed towards Qin Bingshue's chest. At the same time, "Drink it and let me die." Qin Bingshue's tattoo immediately turned around and looked. Looking at the table knife close at hand, he was suddenly stupid. It's completely too late to dodge. However, at this critical moment, a sturdy figure appeared in front of him, and the dinner knife in front of you. It is firmly imprisoned in the hands of an iron hand. I can't move forward a single inch anymore. After controlling the waiter, Chen Yi said coldly with an indifferent face, "Use a knife on a woman. It's not a good habit. Looks like I need to educate you." "It's coming, it's coming." Who laughed at the flowers. Qin Bingshue, who ranked first, actually took the initiative to give him a hug. Just now, cornered robbers actually used a knife against Qin Bingshue. I saw that the blade was already coming. There was no time to react under the sharp blade. But Chen Yuan suddenly stood in front of Qin Bingshue. "Hold the knife firmly with your hand." Suddenly, Chen Yuan's palm immediately overflowed with bright red blood, and the dinner knife in front of you was firmly imprisoned in his hands by Chen Yuan's iron hands. Qin Bingshue couldn't help but be secretly shocked in his heart. I was on the verge of death. It was Chen Yuan who saved me. The next second, a robber dressed as a waiter was directly kicked away by Chen Yuan. This hateful kick is like a battlefield collision. Kick the opponent alive and fly 3 meters high. And a bunch of little quacks. At this point, they were all paralyzed to the ground. The dust edge is the power of one person. And put them all away. That's when it happened. Qin Bingshue suddenly trembled and muttered far away. "Not yet before the dust is born." Qin Bingshue immediately flew on his body. "Hold him firmly." Kali cried. "I almost thought I was going to die. Thank you for being far away." Looked at Qin Bingshue, who was constantly flowing out of tears, not only blushing. Suddenly, I felt a difference. He couldn't help but secretly find no enemy in his heart. I guess no one can imagine it. Huda is a famous iceberg beauty. There must be such a fragile side. But it's also pretty cute. Chen Yankai patted Qin Bingshue's shoulder. Reassures that it's okay. "I'm here. Don't take what I said in the car to heart. Actually, it's a very good girl." When Qin Bingshue immediately raised his head suddenly, full of anticipation to see if what you said is true. "Do you really think so?" Seeing this, Chen Yin hurriedly smiled. "Embarrassing to yes. About the investment etiquette you said earlier. Tech company thing. I'll visit your company in a few days. We'll decide when the time comes." Wanyan Qin Bingshue's indestructible heart. The first time it was shaken, he couldn't help but be secretly moved in his heart. Chen Yuan, this person is really a knife-mouthed tofu heart. It's completely different from other men, always pretending to be shameless. But he is stronger and more decisive than anyone else. Qin Bingshue looked at Chen Yuan's injured and bleeding palm. A sense of security like never before immediately came to mind. He couldn't help but secretly say in his heart, "There really are men in this world, willing to be in my time of danger, desperate to protect me." Come to think of this, Qin Bingshue couldn't help it. Chen Yuan's hand rested on his cheek. At this moment, he felt that Chen Yuan was his hero. It seems that as long as this man is by his side, no matter what kind of crisis situation occurs, he can solve it lightly. Immediately, the system sounded 3 times in a row. Qin Bingshue's favorability is a hint of adding 30. In the blink of an eye, Qin Bingshue's favorability soared to 80 points. That's when it happened. A rapid whistle sounded suddenly. The police finally arrived at the scene. The police after receiving a call to the police. The police were immediately dispatched, because the location is a bit remote. When they arrived at the scene, Chen Yuan has already dealt with all the robbers. Just when Chen Yuan was questioned by the police, but a familiar girl suddenly came out on the side. Chen Yuan hadn't seen him for a few hours. "You're in trouble again." Wansheng Chen Yuan immediately inquired about the prestige. But what made him feel confused was that the criminal policeman who led the team was actually Chu Yuma. "I saw a police uniform." Chu Yuma, who looks heroic, then frowned. Why can't it be me? It's coming. It's coming. Chen Yuan, who was a victim, was actually locked up in a separate interrogation room by Chu Yuma. Just now, after Chen Yuan and Qin Bingxue called the police. I didn't expect it to be the police led by Chu Yuma. With the arrival of the police, the entire neighborhood was cordoned off and guarded. After all, this is a big case. And that waiter robber, because Chen Yuan's last kick was too violent, directly kicked to death on the spot. After checking the situation, a police officer reported on the head of the Chu Imperial Tomb Society. The site has been surveyed. After a fierce fight, he was seriously injured. There are also 8 people who are wanted at large, especially the bearded Hu Taibing. He is an S-class international wanted criminal. Chu Yuma was immediately shocked. He looked at Chen Yuan again. Since there are huge waves in my heart, 8 experienced bandits. Organized. A kidnapping of a rich man was planned in a planned way. As a result, it was directly wiped out by the dust. Come to think of this, Chu Yuma couldn't help but secretly can't fight in his heart. I didn't expect Chen Yuan, this man who seems to be a little selling. It's so. Suddenly, Chu Yuma showed a smug look. He really deserves to be the man I fancied. I can't help but play the piano and dance. Even the level of martial arts can be compared to the king of special forces. But when Chu Yuma saw it, when Qin Bingxue took the initiative to talk to Chen Yuan, he couldn't help but secretly complain in his heart, saying that everything is fine. It's just too much for women to remember. Chu Yuma couldn't help but curse in his heart. The big star groaned. The front foot has just gone. Now there's a new one. All of them are so beautiful. It's really uncomfortable. Then Chu Yuma hurriedly straightened his face. Then he came to Chen Yuan and the two and said solemnly, "Please cooperate with us to go to the police station. Record your statement." Soon it was around 3:30 in the morning. Chen Yuan and Qin Bingxue were taken to the police station to record their confessions. From 3:30 a.m. During this period, I recorded half an all-nighter. The toss was not finished until the morning. At 6 a.m., only then did the police officer open his mouth to Miss Qin. "You can leave. Basically, nothing is a big deal. However, if the police subpoena you in the future, you need to be in line with the language at all times." Qin Bingxue couldn't help but ask with concern, "Good police officer, I would like to ask if Chen Yuan can also leave." The police officer's words were not stunned. Then he frowned slightly and explained that he couldn't do it yet. "We still need to interrogate him." As soon as I heard it, Chen Yuan couldn't leave. Qin Bingxue immediately stood up. With a firm look in his eyes, he said, "Then I won't leave. I'll just wait here." When he and the police saw this, they had no choice but to be angry. "Wait if you like.